Welcome to The Explainer. And today we're peeling back the layers of a city you think you know, Leeds. So, when you picture Leeds, what comes to mind? Probably something like this, right? The capital of the industrial north, a city of smokestacks, mills, that whole Victorian grit thing. And for centuries, yeah, that was pretty much its brand. But what if I told you the real story? Involves prehistoric hippos. Yeah, you heard me. Okay, let's dive right into this because the truth is way, way stranger and so much older than any of those factories. I mean, before there was even a single factory, long before the canals were dug or the railways were laid down, Leeds was just this ancient, wild land. Okay, I want you to think back with me, and I mean way back. We're talking 130,000 years ago. This is when great northern hippos, yeah, hippos, were roaming the area we now call Leeds. I am being completely serious right now. And you can actually go see their bones. They're in the Leeds City Museum. And they paint this picture of a landscape that's, well, it's so different from today, it's hard to even wrap your head around it. Imagine a warm, swampy world, right there in the middle of Yorkshire. You know, even the name Leeds has nothing to do with industry. It actually comes from Lloydus, which was the name for this ancient, kind of forgotten Celtic kingdom that was all dense forest. So no, this wasn't a city of brick and smoke back then. It was a land of trees and rivers. Okay, so fast forward a bit. Even when the Industrial Revolution finally shows up, it's not what you'd expect. Leeds, well, it had its own pretty eccentric way of doing things, right from the get-go. Get this. At one of the city's most famous factories, a place called Temple Works, they kept sheep grazing on the roof. Seriously. It was this brilliantly weird solution to keep the air humid for spinning flax. And the story goes, they used what was basically the world's first hydraulic lift just to get the sheep up there. How wild is that? And then there's the time the great Harry Houdini almost died in Leeds. And it wasn't because of some impossible lock or a crazy stunt. No. It was because of a can of local beer. He was doing an escape, but the can was full of Tetleys, not water. The carbon dioxide knocked him out cold mid-escape. His assistant literally had to drag his unconscious body out. And what about music? Well, one of its most legendary venues, the Warehouse, a place that hosted huge bands like Oasis and the Stone Roses. It wasn't started by some music promoter. Nope. It was opened by a former American spy. A guy who decided to trade in espionage for rock and roll. You can't make this stuff up. So, okay, beyond all these bizarre, amazing stories, there's something else. Leeds was this quiet hotbed of world-changing innovation. I mean, they were creating things that we still use every single day. So, for example, you can thank Leeds for fizzy drinks. For the classic mousetrap, you know, the one that's barely changed in over 100 years, that was Leeds too. And the board game Cluedo. But what if I told you that the most important invention to ever come out of Leeds wasn't a product at all, but an entire art form? Right. Think about it. Who invented the movies? We all think we know the answer, don't we? You ask anyone on the street and they'll probably say one of two names. The American inventor, Thomas Edison, or maybe the Lumiere brothers over in France. Well, they'd be wrong. The real answer is a man named Louis Le Prince. And he did it in Leeds in 1888. That's years before anybody else even came close. And this is where the story gets really tragic. You see, Le Prince filmed the world's first ever moving pictures, right there on a bridge and in a garden in Leeds. He was all set to go to America for this huge public debut, to show the world his invention, but he never made it. He got on a train in France and vanished, just disappeared without a trace. And because he disappeared, history basically forgot his name, and it forgot the city where cinema was actually born. And you know, this pattern, this quiet, world-changing innovation that's so often hidden behind that industrial facade, that really is a story of this city. Because when you boil it all down, Leeds has never been just one thing. It's a city that's always reinventing itself. It went from being this industrial titan of wool and canals to a modern hub for finance, digital tech, and amazing culture. It's even home to Europe's oldest Caribbean carnival. It just keeps evolving. So the big takeaway here is that the next time you think of Leeds, I really hope you see a completely new picture, not just the smokestacks. I hope you see a city that's way more complex, more creative, and just more fascinating than you ever thought. And that really just leaves you with one final thought, doesn't it? If a place like Leeds can hold all these kinds of secrets, I mean, from prehistoric hippos to the lost father of cinema, it makes you wonder, what unbelievable stories, what incredible history might be waiting to be discovered right outside your own front door?